Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gift of Health Weekly Wellness Live. I'm Dr. Arjun Rayapudi, and this is my lovely wife, Dr. Shobha Rayapudi. We're both here to answer your questions live. If you have any health-related, diet-related, uh, lifestyle-related questions, we are here to answer them for you. At Gift of Health, we are showing people how to break free from chronic disease, get off medications, and lose weight and keep it off and have more energy. And we can do this with very simple and yet powerful diet and lifestyle changes. So let's see. Let's make sure that our audio and the video is okay. Give a thumbs up or a like. And also let us know where you're joining from. Okay, so we can see, let's see the questions. We have a few questions that some of you sent. This first question is from Vinu Tahim. Vinu is asking, if calcium supplements are not good, what can I do after menopause? I'm having pain in my legs, thighs. So we know the thing is, the pain in the legs and thighs can have many reasons. One common reason is inflammation, like arthritis, like a muscle pains. That's one of the common ones are the arthritis and the increased inflammation causing like muscle pains. But it is very difficult to say just with this information, like having pain in the legs. This is something that we highly recommend, like see your family doctor and have a thorough workup. Make sure that your inflammatory markers are fine, and they can check things like CRP, your blood counts, to see how your inflammatory markers are. Then you can take it from there. But taking calcium supplements for muscle pains or the thigh pains is not a good idea without knowing what exactly is going on. Calcium is something that it is better unless you are deficient, unless your calcium is very, very low. It's better to get calcium from the food rather than the supplements. And the best source of calcium are green leafy vegetables, and beans. So when you eat variety of beans, like kidney beans, chickpeas, black beans, lentils, and you combine that with lots of different kinds of greens like spinach or kale or collard greens, mustard greens, you will get plenty of calcium with beans and greens. So that's a good way of getting calcium. If you want to increase the calcium in your diet, we typically don't recommend calcium supplements because there are side effects associated with calcium supplements. Research is showing that calcium supplements might increase blood pressure. They may increase the risk of getting strokes. So there are concerns with taking calcium supplements. So it's the best way to get calcium is through diet. And regarding having pain in the thighs and legs, it's important to have a thorough workup by a family doctor and see that there is nothing major going on. And then you can adjust your diet definitely by switching to a whole food, plant-based way of eating, like by eating more greens, more vegetables, more fruits, more beans, and more whole grains, also including more omega-3, especially from flax seeds and chia seeds. You will lower your inflammation. These things we have seen people switching to this whole food plant-based way of eating, improving their arthritis, improving their inflammation. So this is a like overall picture of some of the things that you can look into to help your situation. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah. So there is another question from Vinu. So I'm uh, also I am North Indian, age 59, with my A1C 5.9. Should I avoid whole wheat chapatis? I eat one during lunch. So whole wheat chapatis are like tortillas. The like those are Indian bread or Indian tortillas, you could say. So like when it comes to maintaining A1C or maintaining our blood sugar, so one thing is it's always better to keep our grain intact. So whatever things are made out of flour, they definitely raise the blood sugar level. So whether it is chapatis or whole wheat tortillas, naan, bread, so like whatever ingredients are made of flour, it's better to limit them. So as and also like we tell people they fall on the top of the pyramid as well. So as long as most of our intake, so if like through the whole day, if you look at your food intake, if you're eating intact grains, beans, lentils, vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, and like if you're eating like one or two chapatis, then it's fine. So like as long as you're limiting your flour based products to just one or two servings, that is fine. But if blood sugar control is really the concern, then it's always better to go for intact grain.
So another way of making chapatis more healthier, chapatis are the Indian flatbreads or the tortillas, is when you make them, don't use any oil. And so then you call them pulkas. So these are just dry. I mean, you can make them really moist, nice and moist rotis or tortillas, flatbread, without using oil. And the way you eat
or
them,
ghee. So yeah, sometimes when we say no oil, they're like, okay, can I put butter or ghee? So no oil, no ghee, no butter.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could still enjoy those tortillas, the Indian tortillas or the chapatis with lots of vegetable curry. So for every one of those tortillas or the chapatis, we suggest have at least 2 cups of vegetable curry that is made without oil. When you eat more vegetable curry or curry that is made with beans, then you bring down the overall glycemic load and the glycemic index of the meal. So that's another way to make it healthier.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, thanks for letting us know that the video is awesome. That's good. Hi, Sean. Hello to you. Oh, we have a fancy mic, reporter mic. Good, good. Hi, Mike. That's good. Sadie, welcome. Hi, Florence. Hi, Connie. Hello again. Um, good, good. Excellent.
Yeah. So we have another question. I do make smoothies, sometimes lots of greens, frozen berries, and mango chunk, bananas, dates, one or two dates. Is it okay to have them? So again, like when we are consuming food, it's not the single meal that we are looking, but we are looking at the overall. So what are we eating through the whole day? So let's say if I'm having smoothie, and for rest of the time if I'm having something else, um, so that would be a problem, right? So when it comes to making smoothies using a lot of greens and fruits, it's good. Like you can definitely have smoothies with greens, fruits, dates, and you can also add chia seeds and flax seeds. So it's definitely good to have. At the same time, it's not that we want you to consume the whole meal in the form of a smoothie. So if all through the day, if you're just depending upon smoothies, that's not the way to go. So nature has provided us teeth, which we want to utilize it. And when we chew greens, That's how the nitric oxide that relaxes our blood vessels is produced. So it's always better to chew our food rather than consuming our food through smoothies. But like if you're having smoothies now and then and making them with greens, it's well and good.
So one way to make a smoothie more healthier is actually to enjoy your smoothie. Like if you make a smoothie and you gulp it down, you're gonna raise your blood sugar so fast. So it's okay to make a smoothie with frozen berries and mango and banana and lots of greens. If you have one or two dates, that's not the end of the world. It's fine. But the thing is, once you blend all these fruits and put dates in it, that has a lot of sugar that is readily available. But if you eat it in a form of a fruit, it takes some time for you to chew it. So you absorb that sugar from that fruit in a gradual fashion. Whereas once you blend it and make it into a smoothie, your blood sugar rises much faster. So one tip Dr. Gregor has in his book, How Not to Diet, is to actually don't gulp down on the smoothie. Take it, eat it with a spoon. At least take
Just
about
like a soup.
yeah, at least take 15 to 20 minutes to finish smoothie.
Yeah.
So there is another question from Vinu. She's asking, there are nutrients that are lost in baking. What other options can we have in recipe to make it healthy? Vinu, it depends on what you're trying to make. Like there are many ways to cook things. You can steam them, lightly boil them, or you can cook them in a pressure cooker or an instant pot. Anytime a moist cooking where you're using a bit of water or cooking with the water of the vegetables itself, that is healthier than baking things. But we're not saying don't ever bake, but compared to baking things, it's better to have them like in a stir fry or steam them, or like boil, light boiling or pressure cooking. It's a spectrum. The gentlest way is to steam, then from there maybe stir fry, and then from there like pressure cooking, and then the baking is a high heat cooking, dry heat cooking. There you lose more nutrients. But still, hey, we had a party over the weekend, and one of our friends, they invited us to come join for like a barbecue grill. And they asked us like what would we like to eat. They had some peppers for us and corn and some tofu, mushrooms. So um, Shobha marinated them with some soft silken tofu and some spices, like gentle marination. And then we grilled the tofu, the mushrooms, the peppers on the grill, and they were delicious. Like even our friends who were not plant-based, they loved the taste of all those dishes. So how often we do that, like kind of like grilling and baking, maybe once in a blue moon. But our typical preferred way of eating these things is light cooking or the gentle cooking.
Yeah.
Hi, Anne. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Marie says it's been a while since I've seen your weekly chat. It's nice to listen to you. Hey, Marie, glad you're back. Hope your trip across Canada was lovely.
Yes, yeah. So Paula is asking, what, in your opinion, is the best food to help fight against high blood pressure?
Well, Paula, the thing is, high blood pressure happens because of two main reasons. Um, See, all of us have like a normal, like we have to have a certain amount of pressure in the blood vessels so that the nutrients are delivered to different tissues. So our body tries to maintain pressure in a certain range that has a bottom number and the top number. So the average, the normal range we say is around like 120 by 80. You might have heard these numbers. The upper number is a systolic number. It's the pressure in the blood vessels when the heart is squeezing the blood during systole. And the bottom number is the pressure in the blood vessels when the heart muscle is relaxing. That is the diastolic blood pressure. We call it high blood pressure when the pressure goes, above 129. And some people, according to some data, it's like when the pressure goes up to 139. So anytime the pressure is above 129 to 139 range, that is like, you can even call it as like a pre-hypertension. Above 139, like hypertension, there are different classifications to it. So what causes this high blood pressure is that if your blood vessels are stiff, so the blood vessels are like hollow pipes, and if your blood vessels are stiff, or if your blood is too thick, if your blood is too thick and if your blood vessels are too stiff, that increases the pressure in the blood vessels. You might ask.
And I would just add one more thing. And even if the size of the blood vessel decreases, if it is narrow, then the pressure goes up.
Yes. So what causes these things? What causes the stiff blood vessels, and what causes the thick blood, and what causes the narrowing of these arteries? The thing is, the main thing is the diet. What we eat matters. Like if your diet has a lot of cheese, butter, eggs, meats, processed foods, and oils, all these foods, they increase inflammation in the blood. They damage the inner lining of the blood vessels. So thereby the blood vessels become stiff and the blood become thick. And over a period of time, with these foods, like when you eat chicken, turkey, beef, pork, eggs, processed plant foods, cheese, butter, when you eat these foods, a lot of cholesterol and fat gets deposited on the inner lining of the blood vessels. With that, blood vessels become stiff and they get narrowed as well. So over a period of time, your blood pressure goes up. Now, what to do? Like we have seen this in our students many times in Giftofhealth, to the people who went through, who go through our Giftofhealth food as medicine program. In fact, it is happening right, like some of our students who are going through the program right now, within like 2 to 3 days of starting eating plant-based foods, the whole plant foods. What we're talking about is like eating more fruit, more vegetables, more whole grains, especially green leafy vegetables. The more green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, parsley, collard greens, cilantro, arugula, whatever green leafy vegetables that you can get your hands on, the more greens you eat, the more nitric oxide that the blood vessels release. And this nitric oxide, it relaxes the blood vessel, and it also makes the blood flow nice and smooth. So these green leafy vegetables and different kinds of vegetables, beans, all these foods, like they lower your blood pressure naturally. And we have had people who were on blood pressure medications for over 20 years that came off of either came off of blood pressure medications or lowered the dose of their blood pressure medications within few days to weeks. So this happens very quickly. And over a period of another factor that helps with the blood pressure is, like, especially if you are overweight, that also increases the peripheral resistance. Peripheral resistance is the pressure against which the blood vessels have to work against. So as the resistance goes up, your blood pressure goes up. Like, for the good news is, like, when you lose weight, as your weight comes down, for every pound of weight you lose, you end up lowering your blood pressure number by 1. So that means, like, if you lose 10 to 20 pounds, that might lower your blood pressure anywhere from like 5 to 15 millimeters of mercury. So losing weight, walking, being active and walking, eating more and more of plant-based foods, especially green leafy vegetables, beans, fruits, omega-3 fatty acids coming from the flax seeds and chia seeds. And on top of this, like following a lifestyle where you're avoiding stimulants like coffee, like sodas, these things. Coffee also, it raises the sympathetic overdrive, sympathetic. It stimulates the adrenaline release. So things like avoiding coffee and like processed stuff like sugar, all these things make a big difference. So yes, we are giving you quite a bit, Paula, like, but this is something that it's you start with food, and once you keep moving towards like more and more whole food, plant based, also you can incorporate the other things as well.
Yeah. And sometimes we tend to think of like, what is the one best thing, or what is the one best food we can have? Instead of thinking in those terms, maybe like it's always better to think like, what are the foods are good for my blood vessels and what can bring my blood pressure down. So if you, yeah, incorporate a lot of whole grains, beans, lentils, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds, that's the way to go.
Yeah, if you want one or two superfoods, we would say beans and greens.
Yes.
More beans, more green leaf vegetables.
Yeah, that's the, so we have Jerry asking quick question regarding B12 injections. I'm wondering if a B12 supplement in tablet form is considered as effective as monthly injections of B12. We have been taking injections of B12 for years and would gladly switch to day tablet if effectiveness is the same.
See, the thing is, uh, for anyone who is low in B12, like the supplementation is recommended. Like if your B12 levels are low, supplementation, like taking external B12 in the form of supplements, is recommended. You can take this oral supplement, like by pills, or you can take injections. Now, the thing is, Jerry, to answer your question specifically, it's important to know why exactly your doctor put you on these B12 injections. Um, you have to talk, you have to actually discuss this with your doctor, because see, some people actually go on B12 injections because they for
Not
them
absorb.
yeah, for them they don't absorb the B12 by pills that well, because to absorb the B12 by pills, like your stomach has to make good amount of intrinsic factor that is made by the stomach. Only when your stomach is making good amount of intrinsic factor, which helps in the absorption of the B12, you'll be okay taking oral supplements. So you have to check with your family doctor, hey, do I have any problem with my stomach lining? Is it making like enough intrinsic factor? Are you worried, like if your doctor says that it's okay, you don't have any problem with the stomach lining, we can try the B12 like orally, like by pills, it should be fine. Otherwise, like if you have some trouble absorbing B12 through the gut, then B12 injections may be an answer. But many people like are put on B12 injections because it's just convenient and you just take it once a month or so. So you check with your doctor why injections versus pills. Like as long as you don't have any problem absorbing it, our suggestion is yes, you can just go with the B12 pills.
Yeah.
Hope that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So Linda is asking, craving and compulsion in regard to food. When I quit smoking, I had to confront addiction, and snacking eased the crave. I know people who smoke to tame food cravings. Salty food seems to trigger the problem the most, but sweets can also be a problem. What are your thoughts?
First of all, Linda, cravings is a very common problem, and to our Giftofhealth students, we teach one mantra, one principle. Like this is a part of the Giftofhealth Food as Medicine core principles. Is this reminding ourselves that cravings will come on this journey. Cravings will come, but I can overcome. It's very rare that you don't get cravings on this journey. So cravings are given. So how do we deal with cravings is the key. First of all, the key is to understand what causes cravings. Why do we get cravings, and what are cravings? Let me ask you this: what are cravings? Anyone can answer, like, what are cravings? Has anyone gotten cravings before? Food cravings? So essentially, cravings are compulsive, repetitive thoughts. It could be about anything. You could crave cigarettes, you could crave coffee, you could crave alcohol, you could crave like chips, you could crave fries, you could crave drugs, you could crave money. Cravings are simply compulsive, repetitive thoughts about something. And food cravings are very, very, very common. One of the reasons for food cravings is because most of us do not get the enough nutrients for when our cells and the body are flooded with nutrients, and when we are well hydrated, you will have less cravings. We have seen like hundreds of students in the Gift of Health program who came with like different kinds of cravings, like sugary cravings and salty cravings and all different kinds of cravings. They have noticed that once they nourish their body well, once they get at least 5 to 7 servings of vegetables and 3 to 5 servings of fruits and whole grains and beans, you load your plate, your breakfast, lunch, and supper, and you flood your cells with nutrients and calories and quality calories, then you will see that you're energized for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and you have less cravings. On top of that, your hydration also matters. Sometimes we don't differentiate between thirst and hunger. So hydrating yourself well and eating plenty of nutrients, doing these two things makes a big difference, and your cravings will come down. If you are doing this, if you're following hydration, and if you're making sure that you're eating plenty of nutrients and you still have cravings for sugary foods and salty foods, no problem. We got you covered. Like we actually have a healthy junk food guide that you can actually download from the Gift of Health site, like our website, where that guide it has recipes for salty stuff, sugary stuff, fatty stuff, like you love fries, chips, popcorn, ice cream, chocolate, not a problem. You can plantify all of your food cravings. What that means is that you can make the salty stuff or the sugary stuff or the creamy stuff with healthy ingredients, where eating these healthy junk foods, it doesn't sabotage your health. They don't make you feel guilty, and you're not like you're satisfied, and at the same time you're not sabotaging your health. And the thing is, sometimes it may not be the food, like just doing exercise. Like people who exercise for 20 to 30 minutes, for them the cravings are much less. So I sometimes face these cravings. What I find is, like, if I just take my mind away and go for a walk outside for 20 to 30 minutes, those cravings are gone. Have you noticed? Right? Are you divert yourself with like either a book or a music or talking to a friend? There are many ways to deal with cravings. It's not just that like you don't have to yield to those cravings, but we are giving you a lot to giving you like a 360-degree picture of how to deal with cravings. This is something that we teach for our 6-week Gift of Health food as medicine students, and this is what we teach at length for our 1-year self mastery students, like who have done the Gift of Health food as medicine course. So this is not something like, it's like talking about, I love to swim, and you could just sit down and listen to a coach for about 5 minutes. This is how you swim, this is how you got to move your hands, this is how you got to breathe, and this is how you kick. It'll just put you in the right direction, but you have to get in the water and and swim and practice. So this will take time. So be easy on yourself. Anyone struggling with cravings, be easy on yourself, be kind to yourself. This is a journey, and if you do the right things, and you have the right guides, and you're surrounded with the right people, you'll be able to get through this cravings monster much faster.
Mhm. So Mike is saying, I'm so sick and tired of fighting COVID. This is the worst thing I ever had in my entire life. Is there anything I can eat to get rid of this demon COVID?
So sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
You're going through this. This is very difficult. Getting COVID is not a joke, and we have seen like people struggling with it, and sometimes you feel like you have no energy at all. So uh, sorry, you're going through this. Is there anything you can eat to get rid of it? I can't tell you if you can get rid of it with food, but I can tell you that if you eat more vegetables, more fruit, more whole grains and beans, and keep away from the processed food and keep away from the animal based foods, you'll notice that your energy will be a little higher. And when your energy is a bit higher, you'll be able to get through this difficult period a bit more gracefully. So as much as possible, eat more vegetables, more rolled oats, more beans, more rice, more fruit, and stay away from the processed food, which will drain off the energy. So Sean is asking, I have a friend who couldn't make it tonight. My friend is suffering with flat feet, finding it very difficult to walk. What would you recommend? Sean, I wish I have the answer for you. Unfortunately, like we're not the expert in helping people with flat feet, but I've come across like some of uh, my coworkers who struggled with this, and what really helped them is different kinds of orthotics, that will help with the helping with the orthotics will help with the flat feet. So check into different kinds of orthotics, and also maybe consult someone who specializes in feet, like a podiatrist. A podiatrist, it's Podiatrist. A podiatrist is someone who specializes with in problems associated with feet. So you can consult a podiatrist in St. John's. Like, we don't have anyone in Buren, but there are podiatrists in St. John's. They see people with this kind of problem all the time. They may be able to help you right away. So Sean is saying, when I worked in the food industry, the lab was constantly adding an additive or craving chemical. So you can't pass by the junk food without your brain pressuring you to grab it. The best answer is not to go down the aisle, and don't bring it into the house, out of sight, out of mind. Absolutely, Sean. Like you really brought up an important point. Um, See, whatever the foods that you crave, it's a good idea not even buy it. It's just like an alcoholic or a smoker. If you're a smoker, do you really want to buy that cigarette pack and then try to fight whether you want to smoke or not? Or if you're an alcoholic, do you really want to buy that like bottle of wine or case of beer and then keep looking at it and see whether you should drink or not? Same thing with food. Food addiction is very prevalent, and you have to know whether you have the tendency or not, because all of us are not designed or wired the same. If you notice, like one third of the people in the general population have no trouble with food. They could just eat a piece of chocolate and not be bothered with it. And then there is one third of the people who are have a lot of emotional attachment to the food, and they get cravings. And there is this other one third of the people. These are like food addicts. For them, like you just can't. It is a food can derail them, and their susceptibility to this troublesome food is very, very high. So even just between me and Shobha, like I have a high susceptibility to get cravings for these unhealthy foods, but she can may enjoy to the extent that she wants and not be bothered with it. So you really have to know your tendencies and set up your environment for success. And don't be fooling. Like if you buy it, if you put it in your shopping cart, definitely
it will find your way into the tummy. So
Mhm.
if it's in your shopping cart, it will be in your tummy. Yeah. So Mike is asking, I have been whole food plant based, no oil for 9 years. My cholesterol is naturally high, around 190 to 200. I had a calcium CD score done and it came back at 3200. I have I have now been put on 40 milligram of crestor along with setia. What do you think? I'm very nervous. I have no issue. I exercise without problem. Okay.
So the thing is, Mike, if you've been whole food plant based for 9 years and your cholesterol is still 190, uh, it is important to bring it down. There is a study, that Framingham study, which in that it was observed that if the cholesterol level, the total cholesterol is less than 150, you're pretty much the chance of getting any heart attack is very, very, very low. Anything above 150 for cholesterol, it is total cholesterol, like it increases the risk of getting a heart disease, especially if you have a calcium CT score that is high. It is important that these things are managed. Like if you need help with a pharmaceutical like a medication to bring it down, it's not a bad idea to be on it. But before, one suggestion that we share with our Gift of Health students is that, hey, what is a spectrum? What is the spectrum of your food? Like even whole food plant based is a spectrum. Like, yes, no oil is good, but how much fat is there in the diet? Like how many nuts are you eating? What percentage of your calories would you say are actually coming from the fat? For this, you have to look and see at the you may have to track your food and put it in chronometer. It is a CRONOMETR, chronometer.com. It's an app you can download onto your phone. You put your breakfast, lunch, and supper ingredients in the chronometer and see if you could keep your fat percentage, the calories coming from the fat, to less than 15%. We interviewed one of our a good friend, Dr. Shane Williams, a cardiologist, who's a founder of Williams Cardiology. He's a plant-based cardiologist in Ontario, and he shared the same thing. Like in his patients, like people who have high cholesterol, despite eating whole food plant-based, most of the time the culprit is having way too much fat in the diet, like peanuts, peanut butter, uh, like cashews, almonds. Like if the calories coming from the fat are more than 10 to 15%, then your chance of having high cholesterol is higher. So this is one tweak you can try to see if it would help to lower your cholesterol even more. Apart from that, like we are not against medications. Like, see, if you need if you need a dose of a medication to lower these things, especially if you have a high calcium CT score, you may need that. But definitely you could look into making your whole food plant-based approach, like less in fat and also more in green leafy vegetables, more fiber. Yeah, there is a good comment from Dr. Nandini Sunkireddy. Thanks, Dr. Nandini. Like you may also have an element of genetic familiar hypercholesteremia, that is, if so if you have that genetic familial high cholesterol tendency, then definitely like doing all these things, plant-based eating, and you may need a medication to bring it to under a reasonable range.
Mhm. So Mike is asking, what do you think what that score means to me, the calcium score?
Mike, to be honest, like a calcium CT score, it is a bit of a specialized area. Um, I, I mean, I won't be able to tell you exactly the calcium CT score at 3200. This is something that I would consult with a plant-based cardiologist. So yeah, that's all. That's all I could tell you. And there is a good comment from Dr. Nandini as well. Like Mike, if you look at ApoB, checking up ApoB and lipoprotein A may help. Uh, Dr. Nandini, you may have any comment about the calcium CT score of 3200? Okay, that's the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the
Good, excellent.
Okay, I think there was another question.
So, Mike, you could read that comment from Dr. Nandini. She's saying it's definitely high. So, hope that's helpful. Like you have some good suggestions, like checking that ApoB and lipoprotein A, and adjusting the fat content in your diet. But the thing is, this is Mike, you are like approaching it with a curious mind, like you're learning to see what are the things that you can tweak. You also, in your comment, you mentioned that you're very nervous. I would say bring that very nervous to your some nervous. Like having a little bit of anxiety is good, because that will help you to stay on track and help you to do the right things. But if you get too nervous, then you're not that might hinder your progress. So a little bit of nervousness, and then curiosity to see what are the things that you need to tweak. Well, if you don't see her comments, like after this live is done, Mike, you could sometimes you'll just have to click and uh, to highlight to see all the comments. So because right now your setting, maybe you're only seeing the most relevant comments, but if you just click all the comments, you'll be able to see. Good. That's lots of good questions, folks. Hope you are all enjoying your summer well. Like we are having a good time, like getting evening walks every day outside. So we encourage you to take advantage of the summer. Like we're talking about the people who are in Canada, Newfoundland, like yeah. So get out, get some soak some nature, like getting some fresh air, sunlight. Nothing beats the spending time in the nature. Okay, so get out and get some walks, uh, eating lots of plants, and connecting with the family and friends, connecting yourself well with you, having a good sleep. These things, like focusing on your sleep, your activity, your food, and the love and connections that you make. These things have a huge impact on your health.
And as we said, from next week onwards, so for the whole month of July and August, uh, we won't be having this weekly wellness chat. So this is the summer break for the weekly wellness chat, and
We'll
we
resume.
in fall.
Yes,
Yeah.
and but the thing is, if you have any
Sure.
questions, feel free to message like to us, like at the Gift of Health. You can send it in the messenger, and any time we get, we'll try to make a video and post it on the Gift of Health page.
Yes. So yeah, definitely you can send in your questions, and we can definitely post the answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful summer. Take
Yes.
care, everyone.
And we'll see you back in fall. So have a wonderful summer vacation.